Welcome to the Golf Lovers United podcast. Now, once again, it's the dull Bristolian tones of myself, Golf Lover UK, on the Instagram, on Twitter, wherever it might be. I got told off today by someone for not calling it X, which I thought was quite weird. Don't care. And Jay, Pro Golf Critic. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Ready to talk about all of the happenings this past week in golf. There's a lot going on, per usual. Mostly on-course stuff, but also some off-course stuff. So yeah, let's dive in.
I think the off-course stuff is where we'll start. But just say Mark's not with us today. He's fine. He's just away. And Jay and I, we're really sad with nothing else to do, so we're still here. Jay, let's start off. Let's start off with what I consider to be. Let me throw things out. So let's talk about the Waste Management Phoenix Open for many years. And I don't want to get too much into Zach Johnson's comments about it's always been over the line for 21 years. Like, that's simply not true. That's just made up. Like 21 years ago, it wasn't over the line. I don't know why he said that, but he was angry and upset and didn't like the criticism of his PGA, of his Ryder Cup team. And look, he was emotional when he said it. And he even said, I'm emotional, I probably shouldn't say this, but then went on to say it. But let's go through 7-8 bullet points of what happened and just talk about the Waste Management Open had always been a fantastic event in a way that it was crowd participation. It was fun. It was this, it was that, a bit more drinking, bit of a celebration. It was the one time it happened on the PGA Tour, and it was a bit of levity. But to use the phrase from Happy Days, they've truly jumped the shark. And I'm going to go through what happened. Yeah. A spectator injured falling from the top of the grandstand. Apparently it's not life-threatening, but they were significant injuries, is what the report said. Yes. Significant, but non-life-threatening.
It felt like 20 feet or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long way. It was a lady fell 20 feet, and I read she broken bones in her leg. Bones in your leg could be one small bone, or it could be 2 or 3. Who knows? Yeah. But falling 20 feet from a grandstand drunk isn't ideal. Apologies if she wasn't drunk, but that's what the report said. There were over 17 different videos of fans fighting. So I saw someone had said they were 18. Someone said, oh, it's 17. But regardless, 17 different fights.
Yeah,
organisers having to close the gates. Do you know why they closed it? I wanted to comment all this. Do you know why they closed the gates?
Because, well, I heard a couple things. One, that there were too many people in there, and basically this security and sort of ticket people left. So there were a bunch of people coming into the Phoenix Open without tickets. Like, it was crazy.
No, they were coming in with tickets from the day before. So people were picking up the tickets from the day before.
That too. Yeah. I mean, look, when everything breaks down, like when you have like no security and like people taking the scans, like anything can happen. Like, it could be people from the day before, it could be people without tickets, it could be freeloaders, like it could be a lot of things. So, I mean, it sounds like that was part of the problem.
Temporary booze bans. Yep. If you're going to advertise your party as a drinking party, either limit people or cut them off. Don't just cut everybody off. It just seems a very weird thing to do. I didn't see this, and if you know more about this, I'd love you to tell me about the commentators booing on 16. They were joining in the booing on 16. So can you share with me and some of the listeners what went on there?
I didn't really hear about that, but like I wasn't. To be clear, like I wasn't really watching most of the Phoenix Open, which is fine. Like, I was a little bit preoccupied with the LIV event, and that's kind of how things go for me. Like, when there's a LIV event, that's my primary focus, and the PGA Tour event kind of gets pushed to the wayside. I think that it was sort of, I'm guessing it was more of a fun ribbing type thing, and not like, actually booing, because like most of the people booing, like they're not most of the people on 16 at waste management, they're just not there for the golf. And this is something that I've been saying for years. Like, I don't know. People talk about the Waste Management Phoenix Open as this like, oh, great opportunity to grow golf and stuff like that. But it's like, when you have people coming to this event that aren't paying attention to the golf, it's probably like 70 to 80% of the people are not really paying attention to the golf. It's like, what's really the point? Like, they're there for the party. They're there to drink. They're there. If like a few people start booing, everybody's going to start booing. It's just like it's a herd mentality where like if there's a few people paying attention to do certain things, like everybody else is going to do it. That's just how this event works. So I know that I think it was Kisner and Smiley Kaufman that were on 16, and I think that they probably joined in because it's like this is just kind of how things go. Like they want to be part of the crowd, they want to be part of the environment, and when everybody starts booing a bad shot, that's just kind of like what you do there. So it's
correct.
It's not like for me. Like that's the thing. Like
No.
this event isn't for me. So people are gonna do whatever they want to do. It's fine. But yeah, a lot of the sort of a lot of etiquette goes out the window for sure.
I like it. Part of it is for me. I do enjoy the difference of it. So I know we differ on that. I don't want it every event. Quick correction. It wasn't 17 fights. Sorry, it was 17 videos of different people too drunk to stand. My apologies.
Oh.
It was three fights. 3 fights is still quite a lot at a golf event, if we're honest.
3 fights is 3 too many. Still, like it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's
it was 17 people couldn't videos of 17 people too drunk to stand. Yeah. Apologies, it wasn't 17 fights. It was the drunk to stand. But still, you shouldn't be. Maybe 1 or 2 people sometimes can't handle their drink and too drunk to stand. And you've got to think, if you got 17 videos of people too drunk to stand, how many weren't videoed? There was a video of a guy sat down in one of the areas, weeing himself onto the floor, like, and just smiling as he wet himself through his shorts. And very quickly,
go ahead.
Go on, go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this is part of the problem with this event. Like people start drinking so early, like. And this is something that I mentioned on Twitter. Like people are like, "Oh, this is what LIV aspires to," and it's like, no, like this is not what anybody aspires to. Like nobody aspires to these events where people are drinking literally since like 5-6 a.m. To the point where by the end of the day, people are not paying attention to the golf. They're lucky to get home safely. Like. There's going to be a fighting. There's going to be all sorts of nonsense going on, especially with everything going on in the golf world now. Like things are just very unsettled. So I think when people are just sort of drinking early and like, there's going to be confrontations and other people are a little bit on edge anyway. Like a lot of these players are clearly on edge too. Like there's just going to be stuff that pops off and this is what you get. Like this is just part of the deal.
And then very quickly, 2 different players branded the event a shit show. Zach Johnson ended up confronting spectators. I'm not going to get into that. I know you believe that Ryder Cup doesn't matter who you pick with a home advantage. I believe pick the best players might have helped him, but he's got to be able to have the gumption to stand by his own decision and not cry and bring police over. Like that's weird.
I mean, is there a bigger indictment? Is there a bigger indictment of Zach Johnson than like everything that's happened after the Ryder Cup? He's crying the last day of the Ryder Cup. Yeah. I've heard people call him Karen Johnson. Like there's a lot of bad stuff going on with Zach Johnson right now. So I mean, and he deserves to be heckled because like he was not a good captain. He was not a good leader. That was very, very clear from like pretty much before the Ryder Cup even started.
And then we've got the Sound Angel. I might have already said that. Billy Ho confronting a fans. Now, Billy Ho's a Marmite character. I like Billy Horschel in the most part. I think sometimes Billy overplays certain things, but he seems to be try to play it quite straight. There's 45 million things he did overplay, and we always like to make that joke. But he's right. These are guys trying to do their job. Just be quiet while we're trying to hit the ball. And I felt he was well on his right to say that. But what led me to believe that, like the other stuff isn't enough to change, the fact that Billy Horschel said, "Can you just effing be quiet? We're trying to do our job." And I got no issue with him saying that because he's right, was the fact that they laughed at him and then booed him. So that shows to me, as you and I have said, they're not there for the golf. So the fact they're not willing to be quiet when they're playing or when they're asked to play just says to me something is going to change. And there was a press release about 25, 30 minutes ago saying they're going to be reviewing it, this, that, and the other, and there will be changes.
Yeah.
Look, we could go on about this, and we've got a podcast to do. But It can't happen like that again, can it?
No. The problem is there's a very good chance of this happening again. Like, that's the part of the problem. I think this event has gotten too big. And I know that every PJ Tour supporter wants to like hang their hat on, oh, this is the biggest event in golf, which it is. Like, look, there's no golf event that has more people than the Waste Management Phoenix Open. The problem is when you have, I don't know if this event can necessarily handle any more spectators than they already have, and then you start compounding issues with the drinking from the crack of dawn, with people that are a little bit more aggressive, with players that are a little bit on edge, with like all of these other things in the ether. Like, it's just a recipe for disaster. And I don't know what you can do to actually fix it. Like, the only things that I can think of.
There's one thing.
Yeah.
One thing really easy to do. You are not allowed to bring alcohol in with you. There was lots of reports about people bringing alcohol with them. Not allowed. Right. If you stop that, then they can't drink from 5 o'clock in the morning when they're in the queue. And don't open the bars until 8. I know that sounds daft, but if you don't allow people to drink their own beer and you don't open the bars till a bit later, then that will maybe limit the consumption or help delay the effects of that consumption. That to me seems to be a very easy thing you can do straight away. But I'm conscious, Jay, that you and I, without Mark steering control, have spent the best part of 12 minutes already on this. Go on, one last thing on
There's one other thing. There's one other thing that they could do. They could make it a shotgun start and they could reduce the field. That would resolve it too. So I'll leave it there.
Look, I know they're not going to do it, and I know we make jokes. At the very end of this podcast, I'm going to do a little thing for a 1 minute on the unspoken about real benefit of shotgun starts. And my brother-in-law was the one that said to me about it, and I think it was a really good idea. A really good, a really good thing he noticed. I was describing the event to him and what was going on. And he said, "Oh, that's why shotgun start is so good." Let's do the Waste Management Phoenix Open event. Let's just run through the Nick Taylor with a win, having a fantastic season. What about Charlie Hoffman rolling back the years since 2016 was the last victory, the second place, fantastic finish from Charlie, big shark logo on his back, that went down well.
Yeah, Charlie Hoffman, he's one of those guys that, like, first of all, 2 years ago he was strongly linked to LIV at this particular event. Like, it was a pretty,
when he said something like, I won't have to put up with this shit any longer or something, didn't he?
He's being really critical.
Yes,
he's being very critical of the PJ Tour rules official, and there was a lot of stuff going on that was sort of speculating him going. But I'm happy to see him playing well. Like, one thing I've noticed with everything going on with LIV is just the complete and utter disrespect of some of these great players. And I'm not saying Charlie Hoffman is necessarily like an all-time great, but he's been a very solid PJ Tour player for 20 plus years. Like, he's won on the PJ Tour multiple times. And it's been a while, but it's like, look, the majority of these guys are still capable of winning. I was actually going through the list of players that have won that are a little bit older, that are still capable of playing good golf. Charlie Hoffman last one in 2016. Pat Perez last one in 2017. Charles Howell III last one on the PGA Tour 2018, and he obviously won on LIV last year. And Danny Lee last one on the PGA Tour 2015. And he won on LIV last year. Like, these guys are still capable of playing very good to great golf. They just have to have the right opportunity and the right sort of things happen to them during that particular tournament week.
Yeah, and I know he didn't win, became second, but actually, I know sometimes some of these PGA Tour events are getting attacked for not having what you and I might call the stellar field. But look, fair play to PGA Tour. It was a pretty heavy laden star, big name, top 15, top 16. So top 15, Matt Fitzpatrick, Justin Thomas, Siwoo Kim, Cam Young, Adam Scott, Jordan Spieth, Sahith Theegala, who's just like an absolute young phenom who's coming on, Scotty Scheffler,
Yep.
Sam Burns. It was a pretty loaded 15. So for Charlie to compete against all of those, that was a fantastic effort. And I know you and I
Yeah.
we said it many times, we don't hate the PGA Tour. We just don't like the leadership or the way the PGA Tour's run. It's nothing against the players or the institution that is the PGA Tour. It's about the leadership and what it represents and some of the things that have happened behind the scenes and what it's doing. We don't dislike the players. We don't think the players are bad, do we?
Well, look, some of the players don't do themselves any favors too. Let's be clear.
I mean, on course.
Oh yeah, on course. No. Everybody's fine. Everybody's fine on course. The problem that I have with a lot of the people at the PGA Tour, this goes for the players too. There's a certain culture there that has been corrupted and rotten that like permeates all of these things, and that's a trickle down from the leadership. Like everything that's happened in the golf world the last 2 years has sort of exposed a lot of this stuff. So when I see some of these players coming out in the media talking about, oh, we don't want the LIV players back and this and that. First of all, none of the LIV players really want to go back at this point. That's like a whole nother story. But I think that the culture there's still the PGA Tour, the way that their model is set up, it's just not set up for success in the future. And I don't think that there's been any sort of any acknowledgement like, oh, we need to change this like from the very top down. I think they're still living 10 years ago, like, oh, now that we've got this infusion of cash from SSG, that everything is going to be good. I think there's a lot of stuff that still needs to change there if they are really going to be successful in the future. And I'm not sure if they have the right people there. Maybe with SSG leadership coming in and sort of helping them sort of up level, maybe that's the catalyst needed to like really change the PGA Tour from the inside out. That remains to be seen, though.
Look, it is what it is. There's very little at the minute there's going to be change until we understand what's going on. And there are rumours of a PIF announcement coming in the coming days. I don't know how true that is. I'm hearing two very different things from two people I trust, and they've got completely different pieces of information. Yeah. And I'm not even going to go into what might be happening. It's coming out so soon. And by the time this comes out, it might even be revealed. So look, we will know what we will know. But yeah, the PGA Tour, I don't dislike the players. As you say, there's some things going on, but it was a great field. It was a great tournament. I didn't watch much of Saturday because I was watching LIV. I watched a little bit of the Friday, but I did watch a good amount of the Sunday. And I think it looks like a fantastic, fun course. But what I will say is, I wonder what it's like without the stands. Is it just it's right. Is it just a boring desert course without the stands?
Yes, it is. It is. It's totally unrecognizable for the most part. Like a lot of the holes on the front nine, like they don't have stands anyway, so it's kind of the same. But 16 looks like a completely different. It looks like the most nondescript par 3 you've ever seen. Like it's not. There's nothing special about it. There's no special features. It's not that difficult. Like it's very much a non-factor. Like it just is. So. I think 17 is an interesting hole. Drivable par 4s are always interesting when water's in play. And 15 is an interesting par 5. 18 is kind of like not the greatest finishing hole in the world, but it's not that great of a course, to be honest with you. Like it's the reason why it's on the PGA Tour and it hosts this event is purely because of the infrastructure. It's not necessarily because of the course design. Like it just isn't. So and like you look 20, what was it, 21 under that one, like it's not like the most difficult course in the world either. So and that's at a par 71. So it is what it is. Look, the Phoenix Open, I was out on the Phoenix Open like 5-6 years ago. Like it's just not for me. Like and that's fine. Like not every PGA Tour event or not every golf event or not every golf league has to be for me. Like that's one thing that I've realized that I want everybody else to sort of think about, that is constantly sort of hating on LIV, is like, it doesn't have to be for you. There's obviously a market for it. So just like let it be. And I'm letting the Phoenix Open be. Like, I'm not saying, oh, they need to get rid of this. They need to do this and that. Like, it just is what it is. And I'm perfectly fine with them keeping it as it is, even if it turns into a shit show in the future too.
Well, look, it is what it is. We're going to move on, and we're going to talk about the LIV Vegas event, which now, that LIV, the Vegas course, I was skeptical coming into that course. I felt, were LIV just chasing Super Bowls? And I've already done a sermon on why I actually think it's a really good idea. They should follow the Super Bowl. Great way of doing it. The Pro-Am was loaded. Stephen A., 27 NFL players. There were basketball players. It was superb. Like, the Pro-Am was loaded. And now you've got names like Jake Paul getting involved with Brooks and all that sort of stuff. I thought that course looked brilliant. I loved the look of it. I think it looked, and I loved a lot of people. Bearing in mind, I know things can sound a complete contradiction. I am a huge fan of links golf, which I discussed before, and Heathland golf. But I also love a course that winds around other people's properties and houses. And I think, and who I can't remember who, I think it might have been Ferrety that said he's never, or it might have actually been Greg Norman, never known so many players hit provisionals in a pro tournament, because you just didn't know if it was going to be in someone's garden. And I got that image of Matt Wolf with his heels on the guy's garden path, playing it.
Posted that. Great.
Playing it literally about 2 inches off the gravel drainage ditch, and like the guy's just drinking 2 beers, just chilling out on it. And I quite like when he winds it. And I thought the course looked really good.
Yeah,
but I want to just talk about the greens and putting now. We'll come on to DJ Gooch, who line in a minute. Now, as many people will know, I got a few golfers I absolutely really love and I'll go into bat for. One of which is Ian Poulter. Now, Ian is a great bloke. Love him to bits. Really nice person. And I'll happily say this to Ian. He was number 1 in fairways hit. Number 3 in greens in regulation. He was 48th in putting and finished 21st.
Ooh. Yeah.
Honestly.
21st is a good... Stop it.
21st overall. But if you are 1 in fairways hit and 3 in greens in regulation... And with 48th in putting, it's just going to kill you.
It's shocking. It's shocking for Ian Poulter. Like, I mean, putting is kind of what he made his name on for, several decades at this point. Like,
but
that
it
was
isn't just
definitely
Ian.
a surprise.
It's not just Ian. Try this. Bryson DeChambeau, 10th in fairways hit, 2nd in greens in regulation, tied 48th in putting. Adrian Moronk, tied 4th in fairways hit, 5th in greens in regulation, tied 38th in putting. So you've got 3 guys there that have absolutely dominated fairways hit and greens in regulation and had bad putting weeks.
Yeah.
You've got to feel that if those 3 turn their putters round and they start putting, we're talking like, where's Ian? 1, 2, 3, 4. If Ian was 1.5 putts better per round, he'd have finished 1, 2, 3. He'd have finished 9th. Moronk would have finished, instead of being tied 9th with Bryson, they would have both finished 4th or 3rd. Sorry.
Right.
Like that's the difference. Like, we're not even talking 7, 8 putts better around. You're talking when you're that high in fairways and greens. You only need to be 1.5 putts better per round to move flying up that board.
Yeah, part of the issue is when you are very high up in greens and regulation, like the putting's not necessarily going to show. Like sometimes you're putting yourself in spots where you're like lucky to 2-putt. So, and I think that Las Vegas Country Club certainly has greens where like there's certain places you did not want to putt from because it was like, there was basically no chance of you getting in 1, and it's kind of a low probability getting down in 2. So, I mean, that's the primary, the defense of this particular course. I've been to Las Vegas Country Club before. It's actually a really convenient location. Like it's one of the three courses kind of closest to the Las Vegas Strip, which is definitely something that they capitalized on. It's a very old school course, like it's been around since the 60s, basically since Las Vegas became a thing, and I still think that it holds up. Like I remember earlier in the week, people were saying, "Oh, 20 plus under was going to win," and like there's going to be people on 59 watch, and I was like, I mean, if they put some of these pins in certain places, which again the greens are the primary defense. Nobody's going to sniff 59. Like it's going to be a very, very good test. And that last day, it was cold, it was windy, and it was a struggle for like the leaders to even break par. Like John Rahm shot over par, Bryson shot 4 over. It was not a pushover at all. Even DJ, who won, he was only 1 under on the last day. So it was definitely a really interesting course. I know it got taken out of the rotation at the Shriners like 30 years ago, whenever it got taken out. I love these old school tracks that like they make you think a little bit more. It's not just bombing off the tee. Like you have to
tightness of the houses, fairways hit. It's really big. I love these old school courses, and I know.
Yeah.
I'm not excited to see JCB is going to be a great spectacular course because it's just so grand, but it's built to be very different and it will have a completely different feel. I'm excited to see that too, but I love these old courses that plot their way. I know they're not going to ever go and do it, but I would love LIV to go and play somewhere like Sunningdale or somewhere like old school like that and plot their way around the course. And look, it's not that long. It's the defense again be the greens and a lot of that off the tee. I completely agree, and I completely hear what you're saying. Now, you're a massive DJ fan. Tell me how happy you were to see DJ firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it was definitely time. He, although look, when there's been a lot of quotes in the media about how he, his prep for the season wasn't necessarily that deep. Except this is one of the things that I've told people about Dustin Johnson is that he's one of the most naturally gifted players that we've ever had in professional golf. Like, it doesn't take him that much prep time to like start firing on all cylinders. And honestly, he's at that age now. Like he's going to be 40 this year, where like practicing hard is like not necessarily the best thing for him. Like he needs to balance, and it's a very delicate balance between preparation, execution, and sort of preserving yourself so that you're fresh, down the stretch of a tournament. And I think that round 2 specifically, like he shot 62 and it looked really, really easy for the most part. Like I think that he was locked in. And I think that last day, everybody was hitting some loose shots because the wind was sort of up and it was definitely challenging to get around there, and scoring was not low that last day. But it's like he hung in there. He made a birdie on 17 when he needed to sort of get a little bit of a cushion. And then that last hole, like I was thinking when he hit his tee shot that he might consider laying up, but he didn't. He got a little bit of a fortunate drop, was able to hit it on the green, center of the green, 2-putt, boom. That's all he needed to do. So, DJ is really a great combination of talent, course management, and not overthinking things. Like I think that's something that's very underrated about Dustin Johnson in his career. Like when he gets firing on all cylinders, all he has to do is like execute. He doesn't have to play aggressively. He's gonna make birdies, and he wins a lot of golf tournaments that way. So
he does.
Really excited to see DJ doing well, and shout out to the Four Aces for the good finish as well.
Look, he played fantastic, and I do want to. I sometimes think if we say things about people not playing well, we can sound critical, but we've got to also address when people aren't playing well and when they are playing. So I'm going to do two things here. I want people to please put to bed someone's not a good golfer because they're getting older and because they didn't necessarily have a good year last year. Ian Poulter had a great round. He was 3 under on the first day, and it slipped away a little bit, finished evens, ended up 4 under, finishing 21st, tied second lowest score on day 3. And Ian Poulter and Graham McDowell both proved they are great golfers. To shoot 9 under around that course. So Graham McDowell beat Casey, Kokrak, Rahm, Moronk, DeChambeau, Surratt's obviously young, but Koepka, Hatton, Perez, Puge, Bland, Watson, Cam Smith. We're not talking like Graham McDowell's had a fantastic day, and I think that there's so much disrespect goes to those players. And I understand that people want to try and beat people beat people verbally. I mean, because that's what they want to do. But you also sound, if you want to say that Graham McDowell can't play golf, you're a bit stupid. Like, he's one of the best 150, 200 golfers in the world, regardless what your rankings say. If I had to have him play, if I had to have Graham McDowell play for my life versus, I'm going to pick the 50, whoever the bottom, Fabrizio Zanotti or Josh Grenville Wood or Alfredo Garcia Herrera, who finished, they made the cut on the DP World Tour, who I imagine are all probably ranked above Graham McDowell. I think people say silly things about people like Graham and like Ian Poulter. Like, I think it's just sometimes goes a little bit far. But I do want to say, Jay, because I do want to say, what's happened with Brandon Steele? He looks to have dropped off, as does Swafford. I know Swafford was dealing with injuries, but there seems to be a couple of players at the minute at the bottom that aren't playing great. Andy Ogletree. I do think Andy will come good. Maybe there's some pressure, maybe there's some stiffness, but there are a couple of players now who 2 events in a row haven't had a great performance, haven't played very well. Are you concerned about Schwartzel, Steele, Keimer, Swafford, Ogletree? Or are you just like, it's too early to be worried?
Yeah, I think it's too early to be worried. I think that it's always interesting seeing what happens early in the season. Like, people were concerned about Peter Uihlein last week because he finished, I know he's in the bottom 3 last week, and this week he finished the second. So there's horses for courses too. I do think that Mayakoba and Las Vegas Country Club had some similarities. The difference is that at Las Vegas Country Club, you didn't have to be on your P's and Q's every single hole. Like, yes, there was definitely out of bounds sort of lurking on sort of a handful of the holes. Mayakoba, there's out of bounds and sort of mangroves lurking on every single hole. So there's a little bit of a difference there. There was a little bit of a wider margin for error at Las Vegas Country Club, even though there was a lot of provisionals, a lot of penalty shots. That being said, I still think it's really early in the season. There's definitely a couple guys that we have to kind of keep an eye on, though. I think Ogletree is definitely one. I think all the high flyers, let's just call a spade. Like, the high flyers in general, everybody needs to sort of step it up a little bit. I think
worryingly, a player who played very well last year, who's had a dreadful start by his standards, is Mito Pereira. Like, a tied 43 and a 49th. Like, he's gone from being a fantastic contributor to that Torquay team, and Torquay are going to struggle because if Mito Pereira is turning out a 43 and a 49th, and Ortiz is giving you a 43 and a 39th, you are struggling. Day 3, you've got nothing because those 4 scores count.
Yep. Yeah, and I think Ortiz is another one that's kind of struggled a little bit too. I think Ortiz and Pereira, like, I definitely expected their floor to be higher than where it is now. So, again, I think it's still early in the season. I think that we'll know a lot more after the next couple of events in Saudi and Hong Kong. I'm actually really excited for Hong Kong. I think that's a really interesting course and sort of feeds into your sort of thing about sort of old school courses, and Hong Kong Golf Club has been around for over 100 years. Like,
if I could go to any event this year, it would be Hong Kong.
Yeah, same.
If money no object, I'd go to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And then
Hong
very
Kong's going to be
quickly,
spectacular.
just two more things. You mentioned high flyers, but in all fairness, the high flyers, you've got Ogletree in DFL, Phil also in tied 38th, but then Brendan's 31 and Tringale's 27. Not great, but Brendan and Cameron, I mentioned Brendan earlier, maybe a bit premature. He did finish 21st in the first event. But the Ironheads, you've got 1, 2, 3 of their 4 players in tied 38th, which is the last place at the minute, is the way it's done. And that's not a good look for the league. It's a team that needs to be a bit stronger, and how that happens, I don't know. But I do want to give one big shout out a guy who took his chance, I think, in many ways, and I really hope we see him back. Obviously played as a wild card in 2 events with Laurie Canter. I think Laurie has been absolutely superb. 15th in the first event, 21st last week. That 21 last week was brutal because I think he had a double bogey to go from what would have been 9th to 21st. But these things happen. But I have noticed on the Laurie Canter thing, Laurie is playing in the DP World Tour next weekend.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
So Laurie is in the, bear with me, caller. Laurie is in the Magical Kenya Open. He is in the list of players, entry list of players available. So he is in there.
Interesting.
As a listed player. So I'm not sure what agreement has been reached. He obviously wasn't kicked off the DP World Tour for playing in LIV. So has an agreement been reached where he's allowed to do that? What do we know what's going? I don't know what's going on. I thought you were either off or on, but it looks like Laurie's, and I'm really happy for him. This is how it should be, right? Let's be honest. It should be. Yes. Laurie went to play those 2 events. Now he's free. He's going to go play some DP World Tour events. That's how it should always have been. But I didn't know that's what was happening.
Yeah, maybe it has something to do with he isn't a contracted player at LIV. Maybe that has something to do with it because he's not on a team. He's doing the wild card thing.
It could
maybe
also
that's
be that he's also got a right to finish there. So I'm looking at it, and he's under category 19. That he's got an exemption. So I wanted to exempt. Well, no, exemptions don't matter because Louis would have one from his win in Malaysia. So
Louis would have one. Joaquin Neiman would have one. Yeah.
So maybe it's the contract. Maybe that's what you're right.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be sort of sorted out, especially with the DP World Tour stuff. Honestly, they need to just. The European Tour needs to get their act together and just go ahead and align with the PIF and LIV now, or else risk completely falling into irrelevance. That's basically the only solution that's going to be viable to them moving forward. Because this deal that they have with the PGA Tour now is a total disaster. No, there's no European Tour fan that likes that deal with the PGA Tour. And if you have that option, or you have this other option where you can have a lot of these LIV players playing in a lot of your events, that seems like the best option to me. It's going to increase the value of the OWGR points in those fields. It's going to make it more compelling television. The whole thing resolves itself if you align with the PIF and LIV. And it's shocking to me that hasn't happened yet. I think that it will. I think that's going to be the sort of outcome of this quote unquote merger that's not actually going to be a merger. I think that's the thing that makes the most amount of sense. So again, that's common sense, and nothing in golf has been common sense the last 2 years.
What this Laurie thing is, and I'm delighted for him. He's played 2 events on LIV. He's earned some good money. What will he have earned? About 200,000 for last week. And the week before, not that money matters, but hey, we all got to earn cash to put food on the table. He'd have got £200,000 for last week, and he'd have got dollars.
Probably about the same this week.
And he'd have got about $250 the week before. So great. Now go and play on the European Tour, and if he can wild card on LIV again, great. Interesting to see if he does wild card on LIV in Saudi, because he will literally have to go from Kenya to Saudi. The entry list isn't up for the South Africa SDC event. I'm just looking. There is no event info for the players who are listed to play, so that isn't on there at the minute. So we can't comment on that.
there's rumors about who that other wild card is gonna be. I don't know if you want to talk about that now. Obviously, Hudson Swafford's going to be the wild card. He's already signed for the full season, and if Laurie Canter's not going to be there, there's been strong rumors that Anthony Kim is going to make his debut at the Saudi event. I don't think that's confirmed yet. However, that seems to be like they're keeping that spot open for Anthony Kim specifically, which could be interesting. Like, I'm not an Anthony Kim fan. I've said that prior. Like, I don't really understand the appeal, but it is like a really interesting, sort of intriguing thing if he is going to be playing in some live events this year.
And if you are going to let him start somewhere, start where the media aren't going to be. Just let him get on and play his golf. Give him the best chance of playing the best golf he can, and not have to field 30 questions in a presser from 30 different media outlets, which would be the same question 30 times because no one cares to do anything different. So let him go and play golf.
I would love it if the corrupt golf media was forced to attend an event in Jeddah. That would just be
not sure they get a visa, mate. No. But anyway, right. Where
Fair
are
point.
we? So we've done Laurie. Tommy Ladd spotted.
Oh,
now
yes.
I sometimes I congratulate myself and I pat myself on the back because why wouldn't I? Because no one else does. So I said on Twitter or X, because I've been told off. I said it earlier, I got told off for saying Twitter, not X. Some people are really weird. Anyway, I believe why wouldn't Tommy go and see his friends? Now, I never said anything about going to LIV and this means he's playing. There were people, of course, oh my God, he's going to go play for LIV. And there were PGA Tour fans who went, just go. You can't win on our tour anyway. It's like, oh, mate, have a day off. Have a minute off. The PGA Tour fans are so scared. Well, not all. Some were so scared that he was going to go that they started saying, bugger off. Now, my point is, if you're in Vegas with Butch Harmon playing golf and 10 of your friends are playing golf down the road, why wouldn't you go and see them? Why wouldn't you go and say, look, and we know he's had an offer. Yeah. Why not go and see what it's all about? If you've got an open day for a university or an open day for an internship or a job, you go and have a look at it. It doesn't mean he's going to take a job. But why on earth do people have to get angry, Jay, that he went? They're his friends. Would they rather?
Well, first of all,
would they rather he sits down on the stage with the microphone like some of the other guys have done, slagging off his friends? Because to me, that's more bizarre that you would criticize your friends. What isn't bizarre is going to see them.
Some of these PGA Tour stands and sycophants, that's exactly what they want some of these players to do. But I got tipped off to this very early on that like a lot of this quote unquote drama between players is not the case. Like, I know that like Brooks and DJ spend time with Rory and like, Shane Lowry at their club in South Florida. Like, this is not these guys still all talk. Like, they're all, a lot of these guys that are friends or have been friends in the past are still friends. A lot of them are, in communication very, very frequently. So to see Tommy there wasn't a surprise to me. I actually got tipped off to it very early on. Actually, in I think it was the practice round or the pro-am day, somebody was telling me that Tommy was probably going to be there the next day, and there was. I got sent a picture that I wasn't going to post, but then a bunch of people posted pictures of Tommy with his hoodie up, thinking that like he was going incognito, but. When you have a distinct look like Tommy Fleetwood, like people are gonna probably pick you out. So I think that it was good though. It just shows you that like these guys are friends, especially if they've been part of these team competitions like the Ryder Cup. Like Tommy was there, he was hanging out with Sergio, he's hanging out with Rahm and Terrell Hatton and like all these guys that he's known for a decade plus. So I thought it was great to see. I want to see more of it, honestly. I think it was last year we saw Graham McDowell at a PGA Tour event. I can't remember which one. I think it was, I think it might have been Bay Hill, actually, that he went went to. So look, these things are going to continue to happen. Everybody just needs to calm down. Like, yes, there is this divide in the game, sort of, that's perpetuated by the media and perpetuated by a lot of accounts on Twitter and social media that, again, I'm not sure how real that actually is. So I think that everything is fine. I think that look, would it surprise me to see Tommy Fleetwood on LIV in the next year? Absolutely not. Like, I think that it's probably more likely than not that he is at some point, but because he fits that brand. And if, look, Terrell Hatton's going to come over, it's like, why wouldn't Tommy Fleetwood come over? So
yeah, and look,
we'll see.
We already know with some of the teams that if what we always thought was going to be true is that for 2025 they're going to go to 60 players and 15 teams of 4. They've got 13 teams a minute. They need 2 more teams. They need 6 more players, assuming they don't lose anyone. We know there'll be some ups and downs. They probably need to find 12 players either via recruitment or promotion. And something I want to talk about on next week's show is an idea I've got for promotion. I want to talk about that, and I'm not going to talk about it now because I'll spend hours talking about it. But if he goes across, he goes across. I think that it's great that he went to see his friends. I think it's perverse to think he shouldn't go and see his friends rather than he did go to see them. I think that it's completely normal. Right, last but not least.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law doesn't watch a lot of live golf, maybe watches like 10 hours a year, and that includes the majors. He likes to play, doesn't watch any golf really. But we're talking about Vegas. And he said, "Oh, that's the real benefit of shotgun start, isn't it?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, the fact that as players are playing well against each other, they're moving in real time rather than have a player that goes out up front and then you watch to see if they can catch."
Yes.
I said, "Yeah, I never even put 2 and 2 together. I just liked that it was happening because you saw those players. I think we had 6 players tied on 11. Then it was 3 on 11, 3 on 10. Then it was 2 on 11, 4 on 10. And then it was 4 on 11, 2. And they were they were trading blows. It was like they were up here, down there, up here, down there. And I think that is an unspoken, real benefit of the in-live experience of shotgun start is that you can actually see players going back and forward against each other, up and down that pylon. I don't like the word pylon, by the way, but hey, it gets used. Up and down the scoreboard.
I love pylon. I love the pylon.
It's a scoreboard. Let's not be silly. Up and down that scoreboard, up and down that scorecard, up and down it. And I like that. And I don't think that is something that I had appreciated. I appreciated it was happening, but I never went, "Oh, that's happening as a direct result of shotgun start." Do you think people have really given that the value because of that?
Probably not, because it's still so new. But that was one of the things that was excited to me about LIV, is just the volatility that comes with everybody being on the course at the same time. And look, this is one of the things that, like, I don't want to slag off the Masters, but I am. That's one of the things that, like, you have at Augusta National when you have someone that's like doing really well on the back nine and they post a number, but like a lot of those players haven't gone through to play those par 5s yet, that chances are they're going to pick up a couple shots and maybe another one on the way in. So it's like a false lead almost. Like, yeah, you're the leader in the clubhouse, but it's going to take someone not playing well down the stretch to not exceed that number. So that's something to me that's like, and I think on the broadcast they do a really good job of sort of citing that volatility. And I think that's one thing with the teams too, especially championship Sunday, championship Saturday this past week, but the final day with all 4 scores counting, and you have all these players throughout the course. Some of them are about to hit really hard holes. Some of them are about to hit really easy holes where their chances are they're going to make birdie. It's like, those are the things that I think that they're going to continue to get better about highlighting as the sort of event materializes. I think that that's something that's really cool, and it adds another dynamic. And again, a lot of the traditionalists, they don't like it because they want to know where players are on the court. They want to know that everybody's going to finish on 18, and there's plenty of golf out there for you to follow that. Like that's LIV is different. LIV is doing things differently, where you have these different dynamics that are maybe going to attract fans that are not watching these other golf tournaments. Like that's literally the whole point of LIV Golf is to do things differently so that you have a chance of bringing in new fans and like people that like wouldn't watch traditional golf events. And I think that's exactly what's happening. So I think in the next few years, that's something that's going to continue to be highlighted. I think that new fans, and actually my brother's a great example. Like he loves that too. Like he loves the volatility of like how things can change with like different players of like various parts of the course and the team stuff. Like he really likes it too. Like this is a real thing. Like people are going to pretend like it isn't, and that's totally fine. They're going to be pretending that it's not a thing for the next, X years. That's fine. Whatever. That's their opinion. They can have their opinion. There's going to be a lot of fans that are not currently golf fans that LIV brings in. And I think that there's no question about that.
I think that's, and I know people are going to listen to this and go, Ben's talking bullshit. But I think anyone that gets to know me knows that I haven't got the good enough memory to make shit up. Like that just isn't my way. My friend Tom was over my house on Sunday afternoon. Him and his daughter came over. We had some food together. And LIV was on in the background, and the Range Goats logo was there. And Annabelle just went, "Oh, Range Goats, they're in number 1. Range Goats are first." And Tom looked at me and went, "What?" And I was like, "Mate," I said, "he doesn't really care about any of the players. She doesn't care about the players. She knows Bryson. She knows a couple of people I've met and spent time with and I played with. She knows a few of those because I talk about them. But she doesn't really care about the players. She cares about that pink badge, Range Goats. And the first thing she said to me on Monday, when she got up, on Sunday. So it was on Sunday, we had Saturday, they came over. It's the first thing she said to me Sunday. We just chat in the morning. She comes into our room and she said, "Daddy, did the Range Goats win?" That's what, like, maybe the second thing she said to me. And I'm like, "No, they didn't, sweetheart." Yeah. And I know people think it's crap, and I don't care if you do. But that's a great example. My daughter doesn't care a toss about the players. She thinks Bryson's beautiful. There's a couple of videos going around where I played golf with Annabelle, and like she pretends to be Troy Mullins and I pretend to be Bryson because Bryson's beautiful and she thinks her daddy's beautiful. And obviously she's blind, but I love her. But she doesn't care about the players. And you're right. They're going to bring in people that care about different things. There's a 5-year-old girl, doesn't care a toss about the golfers, but cares about whether the Range Goats were not. And she doesn't really understand what it's about. But it piqued her interest and she wants to. And like we had the golf on for 35 minutes and she never asked for it to be turned off. We're all eating dinner, all watching the TV on the background, and she never asked for it to be turned off. And then the Crushers, because I've got that Crushers hat and that Crushers shirt. And the Crushers came up into third place. And, "Oh, the Crushers are third." And like Tom was like, "What?" And he starts laughing because she knows some of the teams. She knows some of the teams.
Yeah, kids love teams. They love logos. I think the Range Goats did a really great job at just having a very striking logo that's going to get people's attention. And I've been on the driving range, the last like couple months, and I've seen more LIV gear. Like usually, like this same time last year, I was the only one wearing anything related to LIV golf. Now I see other people in Aces hats. I see people in Range Goats hats. I see people. I saw a guy with a Crusher shirt on like fairly recently. So I think that this is something that's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to get people's attention. I think the players are one part of it. I think that the logos and the branding and the cross branding that's going to happen, like that's where you're going to unlock so much potential in this. And it's something that like everybody needs to keep an eye on. And that's, again, I've said this a bunch of times, but that's one of the really interesting and cool things about LIV Golf is because we haven't had this in golf before. So for traditional golf fans to not like have an appreciation for that, I get it in one way, but it's also like it blows my mind in another way because it's like they're all talking about, "Oh, we want to make golf bigger." Like this is kind of your opportunity to do it.
This will do it. Okay, last but not least, or two things, two last but not least. This is the housekeeping, everybody. Look, if you want to support the podcast, please go to gluc.com/support. You can join one of our membership programs. It'd be great to have you on board, help us with the production of the show and paying editor bills and all that sort of stuff. Be great rather than me and Jay and Mark pay them ourselves. And Mark do the lion's share of all of that work. Bless him. He does 99.9% of everything. Be great to not have to do all that ourselves. And to let you guys know to put the 23rd of July into your diary, because that is looking like the provisional date for the Golf Lovers United UK Golf Tournament. Now, there will be more details to follow, and if you are a supporter, you will get a first right to enter that event and to come and join us, and we will have more information coming out in the next, I'm going to say 2 to 3 weeks, but we've got the date. We think we've got the venue. We're just firming a few bits up regarding entry fees and sponsorship and whatever else we can do. And I'm excited, Jay, because have you got that passport sorted? That's what the listeners want to know. They're only tuned in to get to have you got your passport sorted or not.
Look, all of the paperwork's been submitted. It's just all sort of, timing at this point. I'm sure it'll happen submitted before July.
We're all happy it's been submitted.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Like I think it'll be fine. I think I'll have it in time. And look, if there's any haters that want to confront me in person, like I will come one, come all. Like I am happy to talk golf with anyone. It's not something granted, yes, on social media I've gotten to the point where I've blocked a lot of haters because I don't have
anyone face to face is going to be fine. Everyone's going to get on, have a great time, and I don't think anyone's going to want to come to our tournament if they don't like you.
Look, well, I guess you never know, but no, I agree. No, yeah.
I'm done.
People in person are much different than on social media. That much is very, very clear.
Look, Jay, I know that. We know that. Everyone gets on in the end. It's only golf, and
yes,
we can all just be a bit kinder to each other. And I'm very happy that I'm going to say goodbye to you now. I've got to go home. I've got some work to do when I get home. Jay, you've got a full day ahead of you because it's 6:10 here in the UK. And what time is it there? 9:10? 10:10?
No, 10 after 10. So yeah,
10 after 10, 10:10.
Yeah, so I got a full day
ahead of you.
Yeah,
I've got a full day done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Mark will intro and outro this because he's so much better than I am. But once again, 23rd of July, pencil it in your diary. We think it's going to be limited to either 27 or 35 spaces. So we will know all that information and share that next couple of weeks. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.